Hello everyone, this is Robert, and I need a better way to protect my camera when I'm doing filming inside something like my Tormach or inside my X-Tool metal fab. Currently I'm just kind of setting the camera inside, crossing my fingers, and that's a little bit sketchy. So I'm going to be using some acrylic tubing, some 3D printed parts, and a little bit of engineering to make an enclosure so I can film right inside the enclosure without worrying about my camera. Let's do it. So I'm working on an upcoming video. I'm doing a lathe rebuild and I'm doing a lot of machining for that, and I wanted to get some good footage of all of that. And I realized that these doors have just gotten really hazy, really dirty. I can clean them, but they still really aren't all that clear. And as you can see, there is a lot of glare and reflection from shooting on the outside. So I decided to kind of put the camera inside, and I was getting some really cool shots from inside the machine. But of course, chips are flying everywhere. There's coolant, there's air blast. It's just not a great place for the camera. Same with my metal fab. There's sparks flying all over. So I want something that can actually protect the camera being inside, because that's where you get the good shots and make all those big YouTube bucks. So that's what this video is going to be about, and I'm going to be switching back between my normal camera, which is an Osmo Pocket 3, and a cell phone because I need to actually show you what I'm doing with the camera. So let's get started and take a look at what I'm thinking about. So the idea is simple enough. Picture this on the inside of the mill. I've got this nice little magnetic mount that I got from Amazon. It tilts and pivots, all that good stuff. And I have a hawk lock from Small Rig mounted to it. This is just kind of a nice little quick release. And then the camera sits on top of that. And then for protection, acrylic tube. Done. To get this to a more polished state, it's going to require a little bit of engineering, some 3D printing, and some other pieces. So let me show you what I'm thinking. So this is one of those seemingly simple designs that just kind of went off the rails and ended up being something very different than what I thought initially. So let me try and do my best to explain kind of what I did here. So this is the original magnetic mount that I showed in the previous clip, has a little quick release. The idea was I wanted this whole thing to be toolless so that I could just kind of slide this in and sits inside. Camera sits on top of that. Tube goes on top of that. Nice and easy. The problem with this is it sits a little bit too far back, so the camera is actually not fully inside the tube. It is, but parts of the gimbal actually hit this outside. So I needed to kind of change that up, and you can see that I kind of have this little tab, so you pull up on the tab. This one takes some effort, and it kind of slides out. So I made some modifications, and I ended up with this. On this you can see that it's actually inset a little bit. So this still kind of goes in, snaps in place, that is held, but when this comes up, the camera is now in the center. I didn't account for the ring. There's a lot of kind of weird complex geometry going on, but this at least sits in the middle of that tube, which is pretty cool. So I moved on to this next design, and I kind of started to extrude things upward. The reason I did this is because the tube kind of needs to clear some things. And I'll show you that here in a second. But this one snaps down in there. There's little tabs that lock it in place. And this one's pretty cool because now this comes up and it has full rotation all the way around, doesn't interfere with anything. The camera sits inside of there. You might be wondering what this slot is. Well, I figured out that if I just cover this whole section, I'm not going to be able to get to this button down here. So I printed a little button that sits inside of there, and that can actually actuate the lever. So this one's pretty good, but there's still a couple issues with it. And let me show you what issues I'm having. Whenever I tackle a project like this, I always think it's going to be really simple and it's just going to take me a couple hours and I'll be done. I really thought that something like this would work, but once you start realizing the geometry of everything, you realize that it's going to be a bit more complicated than that, or at least it is for me. This one still has a couple issues. Because there is the button in the front and nothing in the back, this flexes quite a bit, and that is kind of the only mechanism that is keeping this tube on, and it's not very good. So I need to correct that. And also I really don't like that there's just kind of this open back. That's just kind of sloppy design, so I can fix that. So with the new version, I've actually closed the back. I've also opened up this inside area. This one doesn't actually fit the camera. I kind of didn't think to actually measure the size of the camera. So this one fits, and the button fits in there nice. So that is not an issue. It also has a little bit better of a dovetail mechanism in the bottom, so this actually clips in really nice. So that sits inside. This is a little bit tight, and I can change that. But the other issue I ran into is I really didn't like the button on the outside. I thought that would be kind of cool and look neat, but why would you ever need to release the camera when it's inside the tube? So it's inside like that, and we're going to release the camera. Now it's just going to flop around. So I'm going to change this to be more of like an internal button that you kind of press from the inside, so you have to remove the tube to do that. That kind of makes more sense. The other thing that I did is I added these little ball detents on the side. These are really easy and cheap to get. Those are just pressed in place, and that will actually be a keying mechanism to lock the top in place. I'm just going to drill a couple holes in this tube, and that will attach those nice and securely, and it'll kind of snap out. These tubes are 200 millimeters long, and the idea is that I designed the height of this, so with this tube cut in half, you can get two different sections out of it. I'm guessing that this is going to be somewhat consumable to where the tubes will kind of get hazed over, get really dirty, and you might need to replace them. Maybe they'll prevent, something from impacting them. So they're kind of seen as consumable, so I want to make them really easy to reuse, and with a 2-pack of these, you can basically get 4 out of it. So let's make these final changes. The prints turned out really nice. I'm trying to coordinate with the colors on the Osmo Pocket 3, which aren't that many. It's mostly kind of like a charcoal gray or black, and then has a couple little orange or orange-red accents. So I'm using bamboo, PETG, carbon fiber, Titan gray for the base, and then for the button I'm using the PLA marble. I think it's brick red, and it's a nice coordinating combo. The filament choice really doesn't matter all that much. I think PETG is probably good for the base just because it's decent at impact and it's not going to break down, but really for the button it doesn't matter. The next step is to insert the little ball plungers, and for those I made a little teardrop shape in the model, so they should print relatively round even when printed horizontal like this. And I'm probably going to add a little bit of super glue just to hold them in place, but it should be fine as is. So this is all done and it looks pretty good. I don't love that that comes out, but it's always going to be sitting vertical, so no big deal. I also made these 2 cut guides, or drill guides, I guess. So you would just put these on, either side of the tube like that. Oh my God. And you can just drill down through. Obviously I need to cut this in half, but they will line up the holes, and then it will make sure that they are lined up to each other. So I'm gonna get this cut down and almost done. I designed this enclosure so you could get exactly 2 tops from a single 200 millimeter long tube. The dimensions aren't critical. As long as you cut it roughly in the middle, you'll end up with 2 usable pieces. You might want to use some sort of tape on the cutting surface, since thin plastic like this can tend to shatter or crack. But as long as you have sharp tools and go slowly, you should be fine. There are a lot of different ways to cut the tube. You could just simply use a hacksaw. You could also use a bandsaw. You could also use a table saw if you're really careful and just kind of rotate it. But I decided to use the messiest solution of all, which is the miter saw. If you go really slowly and just hold everything tight, you'll get a nice clean cut. Because I anticipate needing to change out these clear tubes from time to time, I wanted to make it as easy as possible to drill these holes and replicate them. So using the drill guides is pretty straightforward. You just kind of slap them on the outside, and I'm using a number 17 drill, but you can use a 4.5 millimeter or I think an 11/64 as well. Anything around that 4.5 millimeter size should be fine, and you can always kind of drill out the drill guides a little bit if you need to use something different. But once you get it drilled out, it is really satisfying, and it has a really nice click interface with the base. The last and final piece is the top cap. I'm using the same PETG carbon fiber, and if you ever get this white residue on the bottom of your prints, it's actually not a residue, it's just stress from it cooling. You can use a butane torch or a lighter to just kind of wave it over the surface and it'll remove those marks. Then all that's left to do is install the little ball plungers and it's ready to use. So here's how it turned out. It ended up kind of looking like retail packaging, and I guess I'm okay with that. To access the camera, you can just twist this, pull it straight off, and now you can do whatever you want on the camera. Of course, the Osmo Pocket 3, you can control everything with the phone, so you really don't need to touch any of these things. And if you want to remove the camera, press the button, comes right out. You can also snap it back in place, and this can also be placed backwards if you wanted to for whatever reason. And it's locked in place, and then you just put the top back down over and lock it. And the gimbal has full range of motion, and the magnetic mount will let you kind of twist this pretty much anywhere you want. So yeah, pretty happy with how that turned out. Let's take it for a spin. For the first test, I have this inside the Tormach, and I'm doing some fly cutting on aluminum. I have it positioned so the chips are coming directly at the camera, almost exactly in line with the lens. You can see the chips are coming right towards the camera. No issues here whatsoever. It just hits the acrylic and bounces off, and this should be fine for my purposes. Of course, I'm going to need to mess with some of the video settings and maybe add some auxiliary lighting, stuff like that, and get better at the focus, but everything worked out fine. This next test is a little bit more extreme. I don't think I would ever actually do this, but I have it mounted underneath the belt sander, and I'm cutting some steel here, and it's basically right in the path of the sparks. And yeah, everything was perfectly fine here, although the magnetic ring is now covered in magnetic dust, so that's pretty fun. And of course, I wanted to film some laser cut metal inside the X-Tool metal fab. This is just 1mm stainless, and it has a good amount of sparks, but when you go up to thicker steel, it's a lot more sparks. And there is a lot going on inside this enclosure that's pretty hazardous to the camera, but being inside the enclosure here, it feels totally fine. And this is a shot that is really difficult to get outside of the machine. You really need to have a camera on the inside to get any of this, and there's a lot of safety interlocks that just won't let you raise the lid. You have to have the whole machine closed down. So having the camera inside is the only way to get a shot like this. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how all this turned out. I do have all of the files on Maker World. There's a link down below, and it also has a BOM list of materials for everything that I used for this project. So hopefully you found this somewhat useful, and hopefully this will allow me to film more interesting shots for some upcoming projects. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.